The reading from the book, The Blood of Seven, and then afterward we can do a little Q&A. Maybe, if I feel like it. All right. The Blood of Seven by Moi. Chapter 1, Friday. Fake it till it feels right again, or run as far and as fast as possible to try to escape it. Detective Ann Logan, if she could even call herself a detective anymore, ran along the trail, gravel crunching beneath her feet. Lodgepole pines towered overhead, blocking out most of the stars still visible in the early morning sky. According to her GPS watch, she was on mile 3, but the nightmare images from the Salida Stabber case threatened to break her mind further than they already had. She pushed faster. Sometimes it took only 1 mile, sometimes 5, sometimes a 6er of her favorite brew. Her therapist urged against the latter, so Anne ran deep into the San Isabel National Forest in Colorado's Rocky Mountains. The usual nightmare had awoken her at 3 in the morning and left her shaking under the sweat-filled sheets. It was the version in which Bruce, her old partner, came back from the dead to tell her his death was all her fault. Then, the stabber's last victim, Elizabeth Bradshaw, 7 years old, did the same. Even though Anne didn't believe in zombies or ghosts or anything like that, the dream wormed its way under her skin where it ate away at her sanity little by little. They said 2 words over and over again, the same 2 words she chastised herself with. Too late, too late, too late. Their voices chanted in her ears in rhythm with her footsteps and the bouncing light from her headlamp. She hit mile 4, and still they chanted. Images from the case flipped through her mind like a grotesque slideshow. She shook her head and squeezed her eyes closed. When she reopened them, she broke into an all-out sprint. A tree root arched over the trail in the light's beam. Anne jumped too late. It snagged her foot and sent her sprawling onto her stomach. The air rushed out of her body. The voices stopped. She rolled onto her back and looked up at the stars peeking through the trees. After a few gasping breaths, she got her wind back and climbed to her feet. She walked a little way to catch her breath before breaking into a run again. The clearing where she usually turned around to get 6 miles out and back came into view. The crescent moon hung in the sky like the stabber's statistically perfect smile. Anne stripped her running jacket off and tied it around her waist, despite the fact that her breath puffed in front of her face with each exhale. She walked in circles to keep her legs warm while her lungs returned to a normal breathing pattern and turned to head back down the trail when a tingling sensation spread over her skin. Anne rubbed her arms, but her flesh was free of goosebumps. The moonlight illuminated her skin, but no, that wasn't it. The veins just beneath the surface glowed blue-white. She rubbed at it again, but the illumination didn't go away. She lifted her shirt, then her pant leg. Her whole body glowed. The tingling intensified. It burned, like lava flowing through her nervous system. She dropped to her knees, closed her eyes against the agony, and let out a low wail of pain. Static filled her ears. Through the crackle, a voice compounded of many voices said, "Protect her." Anne opened her eyes. Bright light flooded her vision, blinding her. A thin black figure appeared in the distance. It came closer until it resolved into the silhouette of a young girl around 6 or 7. Long curly hair stood out around her head. Her eyes glowed the same blue-white. Her hands moved and she lifted something, a book. The interior gilded with the light. The book flew toward Anne. Scribbled words filled the pages. One of them flared, blinding Anne even further. Sophia. Anne's heart boiled inside her chest. She cried out again. Then the book and the girl faded away, replaced with a flash of light that burned 3 familiar mountain peaks, the Royal Mountains outside her hometown, onto her retinas. When she regained her vision, the clearing came back into focus. No girl, no book, no Royal Mountain peaks. Just the clearing surrounded by towering pines. Anne's breath came in short, painful gasps, as if she had just arrived in the clearing from the previous sprint. Her head swam. She must have pushed herself too hard out on the trail, that was all. Her brain was signaling a blood sugar crash or something. Her stomach growled as if to confirm. She jogged back down the trail. Or maybe it was stress. Stress did all kinds of things to people. Couldn't it cause hallucinations? A second failed psych evaluation had taken its toll on her psyche. Inside her truck, Anne pulled on her jacket. The fabric rubbed over a sore spot on her chest. She touched it and winced. The skin was raised and felt raw. She flipped open the collar and peered down at it. Then she grabbed the rearview mirror and jerked it in her direction. At first she thought the 2-inch-long raw and red brand was an Egyptian ankh, but on closer inspection it sort of resembled an upright Jesus fish with 3 bands encircled where the lines met to become the tail. What the fuck? Her voice rode on gasping air. No, what is this? She poked it again and winced. Nothing had touched her out there. She hadn't even crashed into any overgrown bushes. She looked at it again in the mirror and then angled the reflective surface away from her. She gripped the steering wheel. Tears sprang to her eyes. She willed herself to keep it together until she got home and could assess the situation, figure out the facts, what happened and what didn't. The keys jangled in her hand but she managed to get the right one in the ignition. She wasn't ready. She knew that. No matter how ready she may have felt before this, no matter how ready she was to take another eval, she couldn't go back to work. Her mind went into preservation mode. Her lieutenant would understand. He already thought she was back too soon. She called him from her truck once she pulled into her apartment building. He told her to take 2 weeks, longer if she needed. Anne shuffled to her front door, eyes on the ground in front of her. Footsteps took off down the corridor. She looked up, but they were gone around the corner already. A box about 2 feet square sat on her doorstep. UPS was on top of it today. She never received a package during the night. On closer inspection, however, there was no postage of any kind, just her name scrawled on the top in black marker. She jogged to the end of the corridor, but the person who must have dropped it off was long gone. Anne squatted next to the package and examined the outside. She took it to the coffee table in the living room. Using her keys, she sliced open the tape and folded back the flaps. The first thing she noticed was the smell.
Dun, dun, dun.
More.
No more. That's all you get. After the rest. Okay, so questions. Anybody have any questions for me?
What was in the box?
I was gonna ask.
Flip ahead to chapter 3 and you'll find out. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. Don't.
You had a question?
Yes? You red shirt?
Who is the inspiration behind your characters?
Well, Anne Logan is named after, my twin sister Melissa, who asked the question. Her middle name is Anne, and my nephew, her son, his name is Logan. So that's where I got the names from. Other than that, the characters just kind of come to me as I write, and I discover them through the writing of the story.
Even Maggie?
Even Maggie. Sometimes I have parts of myself in there, sometimes parts of other people. So yeah, I mean, there's no real inspiration. They just kind of plop into the story as the story needs.
Claire.
Yes.
So you've never killed anyone in a book that was somebody in real life that you wanted?
Maybe I have.
But just in the book, right?
Maybe just in the book.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh yes, sorry. That question was if I've ever killed anybody in the book that I didn't like in real life. Right, this was just the question. And the answer was maybe.
Cody's got a
Cody.
Yes.
How long did it take you to write your book?
Okay, the question is how long did it take me to write this book?
Yes.
The first version of this book I wrote in 2007.
Ooh.
And it went through 5 complete and total rewrites before it became what it is today. So 11 years off and on. I did write other stuff in between that time, but this one, yeah, it's meant to be out in the world now. Yes, Ellis Hawker, USA Today bestselling author, Ellis Hawker.
Woo!
I know I was gonna ask. What are you working on now?
Oh, what am I working on now? Currently I'm working on another short story collection. It's kind of like a way to examine how one idea can be told in many different ways. This all happened because my darling twin sister, I told her about a story I was writing, and she said, that's been done before. And I was like, everything's been done before. It's how you do it that makes it different. So yeah, this is my go ahead to just
You stick
show
it to me.
her that
Yeah.
there are many ways to do one thing. A lot of ways to skin a cat.
a dead cat.
Sorry, cats. Yes, Wendy?
So when you say you have another short story collection, does that mean that maybe you have another before that?
Oh.
The question was, since I was talking about another short story collection, do I already have one out? Yes, I do. It's called Lump, a Collection of Short Stories. And if you sign up for my email list, somewhere there's a clipboard, you could be entered to win 1 of 3 copies.
Nice.
So sign up. Even if you already signed up for my list, sign up anyway, and, you know, you'll be on the list to win a Yes. Listen.
Didn't Lump get nominated for something? I thought I read that on the internet.
No, it did not.
Oh.
I mean, okay, so the question was, didn't Lump get nominated for something? Because that's exactly how she asked it. I was approached through email by the chair of the fiction collection person or category for the Bram Stoker Award to
Woo!
submit Lump for award review.
And did you?
Of course I did. I mean, it's not a nomination per se. It's
Not yet.
for
Potato.
Right.
Very good.
Any other questions? Yes, what's up?
Does your town that this book, Blood of Seven, take place in, is it a real place?
Is the town that the book takes place in a real place? No, it is based on a couple of different small towns that my husband Tim and I have visited and frequented in our mountain travels. But it's a very fictional town. Very fictional.
What towns are you referring to?
What towns am I referring to? Specifically Tin Cup, which is a tiny, tiny town outside Crested Butte, and it's so small that there was a shopkeeper that thought my camera was a phone, and he said that I would not get cell service out here, and it was
On your
a digital camera. And they also, it snows so much there in the winter that you have to have a snowmobile to get out. So that was the original town 11 years ago when I wrote the original version of the story, which, by the way, my twin sister did not like, and she's my #1 fan.
Can you tell us more about the first versions of your story?
So, my darling twin sister would like to know about the first version of the story, which was called The She, and it came about, actually, one of the people that this is dedicated to, Angela Al-Salim, she was present, online, we were online friends, when the spark hit me to write The She, and I was trying to examine who she is in the song, She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. And so it was like an orphanage, and the characters were highly unmotivated to even be at this orphanage in the mountains. And I think I sent it into some agent, and they were like, a town where it snows and you can't get out without a snowmobile, that's totally implausible. And I was like, but Tin Cup, it's real, I swear.
Yeah, correct. True.
Any other questions, Lisa?
Were
Why
there?
don't you just come up here?
I'm just trying to get the question juices, keep them flowing.
Question juices.
Does anyone else have any question juices?
Rebecca,
Yes, who is not your twin sister,
who is
Melissa.
not my twin sister, Melissa.
Based on this, will your twin sister, Melissa, be inspiring any characters in future books?
The question was, based on this harassment from my twin sister, will there be a character based on her in future books? And I actually do have a story planned that has twins in it, and so, she'll be in there. I guess it'll be some form of her. Maybe like the
That's your
worst
dear
parts.
husband.
There aren't very many worst parts, but maybe some of them.
Are you going to kill her?
She may or may not live.
Okay. I noticed that there were some other people dedicated in your acknowledgments, and one of them is Tim. How did your husband Tim participate in the creation of this novel?
Tim was actually, the Lump, the short story collection, was dedicated to Tim, not this one.
He's in the acknowledgments.
Oh, in the acknowledgments. Oh, okay, yes, he's in the acknowledgments, you're right. Sorry, I misheard the question. I thought you said dedication. Tim is a huge factor in my life. I would not survive without him. I'm probably going to get teary. I
Don't
can
cry.
hear it in my voice. He is an immense amount of support, and he feeds me regularly, and takes me for walks, and, keeps a roof over my head for the most part. He's just an amazing amount of support. He's very supportive how many times can I say support? And do I get 3 more? Okay. And then support, support, support.
It's just the first draft.
He's just amazing.
Yay, Tim.
Amazing husband.
The rest of them.
Yes, Ms. Fishback. Two-pronged question for you. The first part being, what was the biggest challenge in writing this book for you? And then what was the most rewarding part of this project for you?
From Laura Main, what was the
Biggest
the biggest challenge
Biggest
and the
reward.
biggest reward? The biggest challenge was, looking back over the years, knowing when to just stop tinkering and just get it out there. I learned a lot writing this book. 5 different revisions and full rewrites even, plus multiple revisions of this copy. These sticky notes are all like things I found after I had thought it was done. And Wendy Tarian, thank you very much, said you need to read your physical copy because it's different than reading it on the computer screen. And I did, and I found that many more things that needed to be fixed or changed or typos or whatever. So that was, and then the biggest reward is right now. All of you guys here in the support that you're showing me, it's amazing.
He's gonna cry.
Okay.
Can you not cry? Because then we're gonna cry.
This is a very emotional day.
You started.
I know, sorry.
Is there a question over on this side of the room? Yes, Elizabeth.
What inspired you to write a collection of stories?
Ooh, what inspired me to write a collection of stories? Back in 2007, I did a lot of writing in 2007. I joined writing.com, which is an online writing community, and that's where I met Angela Alsaline, who's one of the people I dedicated this to. And we used to submit short stories to the same contests that were part of that community. And just over the years, I just had so many together that I thought, hey, I could make a book out of this, and so I did.
Very good.
Yes, Veronica.
What are your crutch words when you write?
Crutch words when I write. Probably things like shuddering and went, and then when I find out that I'm writing went too much, I said, head it out. She didn't went to the kitchen. She went to the kitchen. She headed out to the kitchen. That kind of thing. Smiling, I do a lot of smiling in my books too. I love the time of your life. Melissa.
What's your favorite That's What She Said joke?
It's so hard.
Nailed it!
That's what she said.
Thank you for that. Yes, Brian.
Which short story in love would you least want to wake up in yourself?
Ooh, good one. Can you?
Does someone have a copy so I can look at the table of contents? Anybody?
Pass it over.
That's yours.
That's mine. No one asked me.
My neighbor and best friend Amanda says 7 Nights of Fright would be hers. I'm thinking she's probably pretty right, because that was
That's the
pretty
one Tim doesn't
scary. Well, actually, you know, I'm gonna say mozzarella ball because who doesn't love cheese? Raise your hand if you don't like cheese. And I don't mean you can't eat cheese, I mean you don't like cheese. Right? Nobody, for the record, nobody raised their hand. Nobody. And in that particular story, spoiler alert, but the lady gets killed by a giant mozzarella cheese ball. That's how I know.
That was,
She
that
died a
was my
happy
favorite
death.
story.
Why is that horrible?
Yes.
What was your favorite part of writing the book?
Of writing the
Not
book.
today, but what was your favorite part about writing the book?
Oh, what was my favorite part about writing the book? Probably all of Teresa Hart's scenes. I just loved getting into her crazy little head. She's crazy. And just living the crazy through her. I did find though, if you listen to the podcast that I did with USA Today bestselling author Alice Walker at the Grand Cafe, you will note that I scowled a lot when I wrote her scenes And so I write on my lunch break at work, so I would be sitting in the lunchroom just like scowling and typing, and people probably thought, wow, she's pissed off at something. And I would have to like actually work to unscowl at the end of my lunch break, and like massage my forehead, like, don't get scowl lines from writing to Lisa.
I have to say, that's when I first saw Claire working feverishly in the break room on this little device I'd never seen. And I asked her one day, I said, what are you doing? She's like, I'm writing a novel. And I thought to myself then, I was like, wow, who writes a novel on their lunch break? Claire Fishback. And after all this hard work, cheers
Yeah.
to Claire Fishback.
And I might add that Melissa McMurphy over there, who just, praised my name a whole bunch, is an amazing comedian, and she's my coworker, my next door neighbor coworker, like across the aisle, and we laugh all the time. Just ask her my boss, so we laugh all the time.
Yeah, she has to babysit
She's
us
probably like,
quite frequently.
Inside voices.
Online, there's a Lisa Baker's. Why did you choose to write horror over other genres?
ooh, Lisa Baker online
Ooh.
asks, why did I choose to write horror over other genres? I like to say, because I had a wonderful childhood. No, it's true. I had a really wonderful, slightly sheltered, happy childhood. And so why write about happy stuff when you can write about dark stuff? I don't know. I mean, the actual inspiration to start writing horror came from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That was compiled by Alvin Schwartz. They're those scary story collections that have the really creepy illustrations that I adore, and I wish I could like get a print of all of them to just hang in my house. And he was my first inspiration. And then when I was in 6th grade, I didn't like my teacher at the time. We had to write in a journal every day, and so I started writing scary stories to creep her out. It didn't work though, because she loved them. But hey, foster the writing. Woo. When you love to write, keep doing it. It takes practice and time, but do it. Any other questions? Lisa, any questions?
No. I'll let you off the hook now.
Without giving us any spoilers, can you tell us what the number 7 will be?
Without giving any spoilers, can I tell you what the number 7 means? The number 7 is a very prominent figure in the book. And one of the characters is 7 years old. That's all I've got for you. You'll have to read to find out. Oh, yes.
Can you tell us about the cover art?
Oh, the cover art. Thank you for asking, Lynn. So, you may or may not know, but I painted the picture on the cover in acrylics. And my amazing cover designer, Michelle Argyle, she kind of chopped it up and rearranged it and made it into this amazing cover for me. So, yeah. I should probably like sell prints of the original. Yeah? Okay. We'll talk. Yes, Lisa.
Is it true that you also designed the cover of Lump?
It is true that I also designed, well, I didn't design the cover of Lump, but I had a really crappy illustration that I drew that I sent to an artist to make a lot better, and then I sent it to, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. You're a cover Novak. Steve Novak, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I didn't even give him any instruction, I just said, here's the picture, here's the title, it's horror, do your thing, and like draft 1. I was like, done, sold, over. He was amazing. Thank you for recommending him to us.
That's really good.
Nicole.
Do you have a sequel planned for Blood of 7?
Do I have a sequel plan for The Blood of 7? I do. I just don't know when I'm going to write it.
On your lunch break.
On my lunch break, yes. In the little room with the stapler. Yes. Oh,
Do you?
family members. Oh my goodness.
Oh, you go first. I'm hogging the
He's
spotlight.
more beauty.
From what you're saying, you actually do something at work.
Oh.
Oh.
My father, Barry Robert, says, "Oh, so you actually do something at work?" Yes, I do. My boss knows it. Yes, Melissa.
Do you have any other projects besides your upcoming short story collection?
Yes, I have another project that I'm thinking of.
And the sequel?
And the sequel. I've got a lot going
You
on.
need more lunch.
I need more lunch.
So you're planning on staying for a while, aren't you? I mean, you're not leaving me, are you? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Good.
Any other, oh yes, Kyle.
So other than writing on your lunch break, do you have a process that you go through?
Ooh, that's a great question. Do I have a process? I have a non-process process, which I write by the seat of my pants, which in the writing community means I'm a pantser. Does not mean that I'm running around pulling down people's pants.
Doesn't mean that you're not.
Doesn't mean I'm not, as Vernon mentions, but you're safe here. It's we're in public. So my process consists of having an idea for a story, and sometimes I'll have like, ooh, that's a great first line, and I'll write the first line and just keep going as long as I can, and I discover the story while I write. And I discover the characters while I write, and then I can get, I think the last one I did, the first draft I did, I got to 50,000 words, which one page has approximately 250 words, so math, that many pages. And then I'm like, okay, now I know what this is about, and I typically scrap that 50,000 words, and then I know what to write. And it's painful, and sometimes there are gems in that 50,000 words that I can use again, but sometimes there isn't, and it's very painful.
So that's like a 50,000 word outline.
Yeah, it's basically like but I don't get to the end. It's just like, oh, now I know where to go with this, and yeah, not quite an outline. I've tried outlining, and as my darling twin sister will attest to, it doesn't work because there's no emotion in it. It's just like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and if I go off track, we got to rein this back in, even if it doesn't make sense. And yeah, so it doesn't work for me, and I finally accepted that. Yes.
Do you dream about your books when you're writing them?
Sometimes I dream about my books when I'm writing them. Sometimes I get good ideas from dreams, or at least I think they're good ideas, and then I wake up in the morning after I write it down in the middle of the night, and I'm like, what in the world is that? But sometimes just the act of writing it down helps me. But yeah, sometimes I do dream about them. That's a good question. Any other questions?
Do you serve supper too?
You can buy food at the bar. They have some nice snacks here. They're really good. Support is,
The cake is really good.
I haven't had any cake.
I got you a big
we're
piece.
ending now. Thank you very much for being here.
Cake time! Woo!
The cake is really good. Did you make the cake too?
We've got cake. I'm handing out more. Honestly, just raise your hand if you want one. Claire will be signing. I think we'll just do it right up here. Thank you again.
Good job, Claire.